Well, I know it's already been said a number of times this morning, but it is Mother's Day, and I just really want to reiterate that, today is the day for all mothers. We really want to acknowledge you, and I'm going to be giving a message on Mother's Day. I hope to be able to represent you all properly and as best as possible. Believe me, this is awkward, but I'm going to do my best. I have wonderful mothers in my life, and a mother as my wife, so I have some good material to work off of. I'd just like to just start off by giving a little bit of context. I think it's really important for us to remember that even though we as a society and as a world have a long way to go in really valuing and appreciating women and mothers, we have come a long way. And, women have in history always been kind of lesser citizens, rarely able to have, decision-making positions, high-level jobs and careers, government, even in the church. Many times, if you were a woman, you couldn't be a pastor or clergy or something like that. You could be a nun. You could dedicate your life to that kind of a life, but, the decision-making positions of power were often reserved for the men. And, maybe there's a few exceptions, be the Queen of England or something like that, but that's generally the way it's been. And when we went to Iceland, I remember we were studying about the history of Iceland, and Iceland has a very interesting origin story. Basically, the way Iceland originated was that there was a group of Vikings, and they went and they pillaged Ireland and Wales, Scotland, the women. They killed all the men in these villages. They took the women and made them their kind of slaves/wives, and brought them to Iceland, where they started like a new life for themselves. And it's kind of heart-wrenching to read the stories of these families, because now, 1,000 years later, everything just seems like normal society. But at that time, you can imagine, you're living your life, you're in your village, and all of a sudden you get attacked, everything's destroyed, and you're taken away to a whole nother land with people that you don't speak the same language with or have probably just about anything in common with. And these women were the many of the women who started Icelandic civilization. So, I mean, there's many things that we can point at in history that we that are like that we can say, oh, that's really sad or unfortunate. But I'm grateful that we don't see these kind of things happening in today's society anymore, at least for the most part. But I think that it's situations like these, historical events and issues, that why we can recognize that why there may be so much anger, in the modern feminist movement, because there's a lot of things to be resentful for. Historical things the Divine Principle talks about. There's historical indemnity. There's collective indemnity. There's sins that need to be, righted. In some way, even if we didn't commit them ourselves. And I'm happy to see that, although I personally don't resonate with a lot of the ways in which the modern feminist movement tries to do things today, I am very happy to see that women are able to have much more influence and position in today's society, more equal footing. I know that, for example, with me in Adonia, I don't even feel like I would be able to do a good job as a pastor if we weren't doing it as a couple. I've told many people this. I feel it very sincerely. It's not just lip service, but the fact that Adonia we're able to work together as a couple just makes all the difference. She brings in a spirit and a heart, a motherly warmth to our pastoring responsibility that I honestly just don't have. I have other positive, traits or abilities or whatever, but I'm really good at problem solving, getting things done, and practical things, but I feel like at the end of the day, that's really, really important. So I think that in general, we as a society are still recognizing what women bring to the table. I think we're not there yet. But I think that we're starting to discover it, especially when we look at the family and we look at the role that mothers and women play in the family. There's so much potential for healing and cultivating a culture of harmony and reconciliation that we, as men, we can do to some degree, but I really feel that for women, it's kind of part of the nature almost. We've spoken many times in the past about the importance in our church of cultivating an environment that naturally promotes growth and harmony. And that's partly why I'm so grateful to be able to pastor together with Adonia, because she really brings that. And I think in reflecting on it, talking with her a little bit, it's such a different role that men and women play in parenting. And from the beginning, when you have children, the wife, the mother, plays a completely different role in the parenting than the man does. From a biological point of view, she's carrying the child before the child is born, and she's very aware. And correct me if I'm wrong, but she's very aware of this being that's growing inside of her that needs protection, that needs nourishment, that needs, like what she does affects how healthy the baby's going to be. But not just the baby when the baby comes out, but like for the entire life of the child, what kind of environment is the child going to have that's going to help it to be healthy, that's going to help it to be successful, that's going to help it to be strong and independent and, a wholesome human being. I think these are all things that mothers are thinking from the beginning. I wouldn't know, I don't know about men so much, maybe, where some of us are thinking that way, but a lot of us are, not necessarily thinking about those things. It's not bad, but I really feel like in our role as parents, that mothers more fully represent this nurturing aspect of the parent. And there's this kind of a cool quote that I found from Reverend Moon. He said, "No matter how much a father loves his child, his love cannot match the mother's love. The mother has devoted herself more than anyone else and has suffered more than anyone else. Hence, we can say that she is more loving than anyone else. In this sense, women have an elevated and precious position in the arena of emotions. No matter how much a father loves his baby, he does not know that love to the degree that the mother does." Cultivating a healthy, nurturing environment is so important. And I'm constantly being reminded of that in our own family, but also in our church community as well. Lately, one thing that I've been investing a lot into is the renovations of the building that we own across the street. And a lot of times it feels fulfilling and interesting, and I'm learning new skills, and we're getting ready to move Anton and John into their basement, and that's going to be really, really cool. But then sometimes I'm like, why are we doing this? It costs a lot of money, it takes a lot of time, it's stressful, there's constantly issues because it's an old house. But I have to remind myself from time to time that we're working to create an environment, not just renovating our church or renovating our building or providing Sunday school or providing lunch. These are all things that you can do from an external point of view. It's kind of like in your family. You can make dinner, you can mow the lawn, you can clean your car, you can, fix a sink, or you can do all the different things and go through the motions of what it takes to make a life work, and you go to work and you make your money and all these things. But if it's cultivating a nurturing environment for your family, then that gives it meaning on a whole nother level. So I got a phone call yesterday. You know that many of us have been talking with members in Ukraine who have pretty much almost all are living in Germany and Poland and Romania and Lithuania because they can't stay in Ukraine right now. And most of them are hoping to be able to go back. But from the beginning, because we have such a close relationship with the Ukrainian church, we were like, hey, let's do something. We want to support them. What can we do? We brainstormed different ideas, raised some money. I know Anissa has been in conversation with many of her friends and different Ukrainian members that are there. And, we've offered, some families have offered to host a Ukrainian family in their home. We looked at getting refugee status for families, financial support from other nonprofit organizations. We looked at all these options, but then at the end of the day, it didn't seem like anybody was coming, besides Eugene's family and Serge's family that were already planning to come before Russia invaded Ukraine. So we were like, okay, well, we did what we could, and we just kind of keep, hoping that we can maybe do something more. And then I got a phone call yesterday from a Ukrainian brother who's here in America working as a truck driver, and he's supporting his family that's right now in Romania, and they have 4 kids, his wife and 4 kids. And he calls me and he said that he was planning to finish truck driving and go back and rejoin his family in a week or so. But then there was some opportunity to apply for a visa, like an expedited visa for Ukrainians. So he just applied. And in 3 days, he got a response that said yes. So that's crazy for one thing. I mean, maybe that's normal now, but it's not normal normally. So they're switching all their plans. And he said, I'd like to be able to bring my family within the next couple weeks. And so that's a very quick turn of events. But I don't know, it's crazy. These things happen a lot, and I feel God's guiding hand in these kind of events, because I feel like many times we try to prepare, but we don't really know what we're preparing for sometimes. But we kind of prepare on faith. Like if we set aside money or we prepare space, we open ourselves up to God to be able to intervene and provide that opportunity. And we may not even know what the opportunity is, but if we're prepared to take advantage of the opportunity, then I think that God has something more to work with. So he calls me and he's like, we can't afford to pay very much, and we don't have a car, and my kids are going to have to go to school somewhere. I don't even know if they speak much English. I think the dad does. He speaks good English. I'm not sure about the rest of the family. And I said, okay, we've been talking about this for a while. I felt so good. I was like, this is what we've been preparing for. I've been talking with people. I said, we have a family I have to double check with them, but they're probably ready to host you. And we also been working on this rental property, and maybe you could live there, or, you could live in our, we have guest rooms, or, I told him that we were, that if he could just come here, since he's still in America, I could drive him around. We could look at schools. We could figure all that stuff out. And he said, wow, you're so prepared. This is very practical and helpful. And I was like, yes, thank you. It is. So anyway, until they're here, there's always something that could change. But unless something pretty drastic changes, they'll be coming within the next couple weeks. So I'm scrambling a little bit to try to figure out concrete things. It's not a small decision. If somebody actually hosts them, it's like a 1 or 2 year commitment with, it's a family of 6. So not a small commitment whatsoever. But I'm just really grateful that we've had these conversations and that we've been preparing the environment, the people and the places and the resources that we can help them when the need comes. So, oh yeah, and I have a picture of them. There they are. Yeah, nice little family there. I think they'll fit right in. So as of now, our total of Ukrainian families moving to Colorado in the next year or so is 3 families. A family of 6, a family of 4, and a family of 5. So that's as of now. We'll see what changes maybe in the future. So, although I don't profess to know what mothers experience and go through, I'm fortunate that I have wonderful examples in my life. I have a mom, and my wife is a mom. And I'm fortunate enough that my mom and my dad are here, because I know not everyone has that. I'm very grateful to have them as a part of my life. And I know that I gave you guys grief when I was a teenager. And I'm just grateful for your patience and for believing in me and for encouraging me and guiding me in my life. Also for teaching me how to put God first in my life by modeling it in your life first, even though there's been so many challenges. I've also had many parent figures and motherly and fatherly figures in my life that have also helped us to get to where we're at today. So it reminds me of the saying that no man is an island. We all know that the Bible tells us in Ephesians and Exodus that we should honor our mother and father. But the reality is that Western culture in general does not really promote this virtue of honoring our elders or honoring our parents. Most other cultures do. Arab culture, Asian culture, Latino culture generally promote honoring our elders and our parents. It's not even about whether our mom or our dad or people in our lives really deserve our respect. It's not about that. It's not about whether they deserve it. It's not about if they have their life all together. It doesn't mean that they never made mistakes, but it's about honoring the position. It's about honoring the fact that they gave us life, that they tried to raise us the best that they could with what they had. Even in church leadership, sometimes I struggle to honor the position because I don't always agree with the decisions being made. But I honor leaders in our church because I know the responsibility that they take on their shoulders. I know that they take that responsibility on and enables me to not have to worry about those things so much. And being a local pastor and knowing what it means to feel like you have the lives of your community on your shoulders, I can't even imagine what that must feel like the further up you go and to have thousands of people's lives on your shoulder. Or to be our true mother and to feel like she has the weight of the entire human race on her shoulders. Even if I don't always understand or respect or agree with all the decisions made, I respect and honor the position. When I went and visited my grandparents in Japan when I was younger, they're no longer alive, but one thing that really I remember clearly, it made a big impression on me, was they had this Shinto shrine in their living room, bedroom. It's kind of mixed sometimes. But it was this big shrine and very beautiful and ornate, at least that's my memory of it. And every day they would they would take the rice out of the center of their rice pot, which is like the best rice, right? And they would put some rice there, and I don't remember, maybe some other things as well, and they would light some incense, and it was a way of honoring their ancestors. And we don't really have those kind of traditions in America, in the Western world so much, but for them it was just a part of their everyday life, honoring their ancestors, remembering where they came from, whose shoulders they were standing on. And I didn't really understand it so much at the time, but now as I'm older, I think about that sometimes, and I think that's really a beautiful tradition. And I remember also my parents, for a while, we also had a similar thing. It wasn't a shrine per se, but it was, we had a place where we would take some of the food and we would set it on the, in place as an honoring of God and of our ancestors. So to honor means to recognize the significance of. And part of honoring is showing appreciation. In Proverbs 23:22, it says, "When your mother is old, show her your appreciation." So what are we appreciating exactly? First of all, we appreciate their effort. Parenting is difficult, time-consuming, and demanding. Parenting brings out all of our insecurities. Nobody ever feels ready to become a parent. And in fact, I know couples who are very hesitant to have children or don't want to have children because they feel like they wouldn't be able to raise them well. They wouldn't be good parents. So there's a risk and a selflessness many times that comes with becoming parents, because you don't know how things are going to turn out. You don't even know if you're going to be a good parent. But regardless, there's so much involved in just the effort of trying to raise your children well. And it also means that you have to confront things in yourself that aren't, you're raising your kids, and you realize, oh my God, I'm not a good parent. I have to confront things in myself. Why do I get angry? Why do I take out things on my kids? Why can't I be more patient? Why can't I, all these things come up that we realize in order for me to be a better parent, I have to work on myself. And that's hard. That's confronting. That's exhausting. Another thing we can appreciate is their sacrifice. Parenting is a sacrifice in many ways. It's not a sacrifice of, it's a sacrifice of love. It's there's a word for that. Labor of love. But it's also practically very expensive. And it requires a constant effort to put your kids' needs before your own. Even if you don't want to. Even if you didn't get sleep that night. Even if you're hungry and there's only enough, food for seconds for the kids, or, maybe even first. Parenting asks us to put our children's needs, put someone else's needs before our own. Even if me and my husband or me and my wife are struggling, but our kids come in, we have to, take care of the needs of the children. So it's an incredible commitment. And it's not just a 1 or 2 year kind of thing. It's a lifelong commitment. So these are some things that we can appreciate about our parents. And at some point in our lives, we, as sons and daughters of our parents, become acutely aware of our parents' own shortcomings and mistakes. Some of us have even had parents who have hurt them physically, emotionally, sexually. Yet, in order to end the cycle of damage and to build healthy families of our own, and to promote a culture of grace and forgiveness for myself, because we need forgiveness sometimes, we must forgive and work through whatever can be worked through. Not to ignore shortcomings or mistakes, or to make light of them, or to dismiss them as unimportant, but to leave them behind and make things better. And as we get older and our parents get older, we have to understand that parents also have a need to know that they made an impact on your life, even if they don't express that or specifically say that to you. Once again, we do that by honoring and affirming them. How do we honor and affirm our parents? Well, we can stay in touch with them. That says that when we reach out, make a phone call, write an email, give a visit, it shows that they matter to us. Talk to them about the details of things that are going on in your life. It's important to honor our parents, to honor their sacrifice, the effort, and in effect, we honor the source of our own lives, where we come from. It is a part of honoring ourselves. So I'd like to finish with one last quote from Reverend Moon. He said, "The world has lost its homeland. How can the world's people, a global domain of the displaced, return to their homeland? God knows the answer to this question. His providence sends the Messiah to the earth, who is to lead the displaced people to their homeland. After they have returned home, religion and all its customs will be unnecessary. Tearfully embracing your mother and father is the best form of worship, the fulfillment of everything that God desires. Even if heaven and earth experience upheaval 10 million times, if the unity of 3 generations, grandparents, parents, and children, is as strong as an iron fortress, and if they serve God as their core, then wherever they are, they will be the one seed through which the kingdom of heaven can be realized. They themselves will be that. This can be said to be the origin of the seed of God's love and the seed of God's life. We need to find our way to it. Otherwise, there will be no hope for the kingdom of heaven on earth, the heavenly kingdom of peace, or the world of happiness and freedom." That's my message. Please join me in prayer. Good morning, dearest Heavenly Parent, our Heavenly Father and Mother. Thank you so much for this special Mother's Day that we could all come together. My heart especially goes out to those who are out selling flowers today, making extra money and not able to be here. I hope that they are able to do something nice for Mother's Day besides just selling flowers all day. And I'm just grateful for everybody here. I'm grateful for this message, and thank you for speaking through it. Hope that it could have been meaningful to somebody. And I just hope that, Heavenly Parent, as we go through our life and we go through our busyness and different things that we experience, our ups and downs, that we cannot forget to really honor the source of our life, our parents, even if there's a lot of pain there or mistakes. I pray, Heavenly Parent, that there can be healing in those relationships, that there can be growth, that there can be reconciliation, because we want those things to end. We want to build beautiful families going forward, not perfect, but beautiful in their own ways. I pray that we can really honor and appreciate our parents, and also people in our lives who really have supported us and been like aunts and uncles and fathers and mothers to us when we needed them. Heavenly Parent, this is the special way in which you have tried to reach us through other people, Heavenly Parent. We never want to take that for granted. And I offer this prayer, this service, all this time to you in our names as Blessed Central Families. Amen and Aju. Thank you.